It might be hard to believe, but the Samsung Galaxy S23 series is now just around the corner. Samsung has its Unpacked event set for February 1, and while they haven't officially said what the focus of the show is, it's pretty easy to connect the dots. Last year's Samsung Galaxy S22 series did a lot right. The cameras were strong, especially in the Ultra line, and the phones had great designs overall. Of course, nothing is perfect. There were a few areas we wish would have been stronger across the board, such as battery life and storage options. Will the Samsung Galaxy S23 series rectify these issues, or will we see much of the same? Let's take a closer look at the current Samsung Galaxy S23 rumors to get a better idea of what to expect. The Samsung Galaxy S23 series is expected to launch in 3 different sizes once again. The more pocketable Samsung Galaxy S23, the larger Galaxy S23 Plus, and the spec-packed beast that is the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Each of these models will likely be offered in a few different configurations depending on how much storage or RAM you need. You'll also have a choice between at least a few different colors. The big question is how the Galaxy S23 colors will differ from last year. The Samsung Galaxy S22 and S22 Plus color choices weren't the same as the S22 Ultra's options. Samsung did this to better set the Ultra apart, but it was also a bit confusing. For the first 2 phones, you had the options of Phantom White, Phantom Black, Green, Graphite, and Pink Gold. There were also a few exclusive colors only available from certain carriers and regions: Cream, Sky Blue, and Violet. Although Samsung likely has several color surprises in store, it looks like the company is being a bit more uniform this time. Thanks to leaked press renders and other details, we currently expect the following 4 color choices for the Samsung Galaxy S23 series: Phantom Black, Cotton Flower, Misty Lilac, and Botanic Green. Cotton Flower appears to be an off-white color, while Phantom Black is obviously a form of black. Misty Lilac is essentially light pink, and Botanic Green is a unique shade of duller, darker green. This is a pretty short list of colors, and all of them are pretty subtle, muted flavors. Samsung is no stranger to special regional colors, so perhaps we'll see more vibrant options like red and blue as we get a bit closer to the formal launch. So let's talk about design first. In the lead up to the Galaxy S23's launch, we've seen both press renders and leaked photos in the wild. Most of these have complemented one another to paint a clear picture of the phone, and so we have a pretty good idea of what to expect from the Galaxy S23 design. One of the biggest ever shifts for the Galaxy S line happened in 2022. That's when Samsung remodeled the Galaxy S22 Ultra to make it look and function more like a Galaxy Note phone. This included it being a boxy design with an S Pen slot. However, the Galaxy S22 and Galaxy S22 Plus remained largely the same when compared to the previous models. This year, it looks like Samsung could do the opposite by changing the looks of the Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus while leaving the Galaxy S23 Ultra mostly the same. As you can see in the photos, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra has changed very little from the S22 Ultra. The shape and even camera configuration all look identical. There's also still the same built-in S Pen functionality too. The new Galaxy S23 and Galaxy S23 Ultra will have more rounded bodies than the Note-like Galaxy S23 Ultra, but Samsung is unifying a few design elements. First, while the phones are still rounded, they have a change in curvature that gives the phone a slightly squarer look. The camera cutouts have also been changed a bit, just like the Ultra. The S23 and S23 Plus now separate the rear camera cutouts instead of a single housing for all 3 sensors. The Samsung Galaxy S23 series might not be dramatically different looking from its predecessors, but more does it need to be. Smartphone makers have been keeping designs longer in recent years, likely to cut down on costs associated with manufacturing. The changes could result in a slightly different feel, however, though we can't say for sure until we get our hands on it next month. The Samsung Galaxy S23 series won't make too many changes to the display tech involved, at least judging by the current rumors. In fact, expect the same sizes, resolutions, and refresh rates. The Galaxy S23 will have a 6.1-inch Full HD display with a 120Hz refresh rate. The Galaxy S23 Plus will use a 6.6-inch 3088 by 1440 display with 120Hz, and the Ultra will have a massive 6.8-inch screen with a 3088 by 1440 resolution and 120Hz refresh rate. At least one rumored change could be heading to the Galaxy S23 Ultra display. The Galaxy S23 will reportedly be able to achieve 2150 nits of brightness, taking on the Apple iPhone 14 Pro's 2000 nits max brightness. That's about all we know for now. It's possible we could get a Gorilla Glass upgrade to the newly announced Victus 2, but we haven't heard many substantial rumors on that front. Now let's talk about the camera. Samsung is known as one of the leaders in smartphone photography, and there's no reason to believe things will be any different with the Samsung Galaxy S23 series. Probably the most exciting rumor concerns the new primary sensor on the Galaxy S23 series. Reportedly, Samsung will bring its new 200-megapixels ISOCELL HP2 sensor to at least the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. We've heard conflicting reports on whether or not the Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus camera packages will get the same upgrade, or if they will stick to the more modest 50-megapixel shooter found in the Galaxy S22 and S22 Plus. Samsung typically reserves its best camera elements for the Ultra, so for now let's just operate under the assumption that they'll continue to use the same megapixel count as before. Aside from the 200 megapixels camera, it's likely that the Ultra will stick to mostly the same sensors and megapixel counts. That means you can expect a 12 megapixels ultra-wide sensor, 10 megapixels 3x telephoto lens, and a 10 megapixels 10x periscope. Likewise, we expect the camera configurations to mostly stay the same on the Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus. Typically, lower megapixel sensors offer the best low-light performance, yet reportedly Samsung is taking the opposite route with its new 200 megapixel sensor. Samsung will reportedly introduce an improved night mode called nightography, which assumingly uses pixel binning and a few other tricks to produce better images in low light. Aside from better low-light performance, we've also heard rumors of improved video capabilities, including up to 8K at 30 FPS. The Galaxy S22 can already do 8K at 24 FPS, but it's still an appreciated jump that should make for slightly smoother video. If you're not worried about 8K performance, the S23 should also be great for 4K. The S22 series is capable of up to 4K at 60 FPS, so we may see that shift to 120 FPS as well. According to tipster Rick Shiloh, Samsung could also bring an ultra stabilization feature to the Ultra. The new optical image stabilization feature could help the S23 compete against Apple's Action Mode. Even though the Samsung Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus look to have a similar camera setup to last year's models, expect a few improvements thanks to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. The new chip supports cognitive ISP, allowing faster semantic segmentation, identifying objects within your image. Qualcomm also previously revealed that it's working with Samsung to get the best results from its high megapixel sensors, lending further support to the 200 megapixels claim. While we don't know everything about the Galaxy S23 camera configurations, it's clear that Samsung continues to push its imaging capabilities to the next level. Interestingly, the Galaxy S23 Ultra might actually take a small step back for the selfie camera. Reportedly, the Galaxy S23 series will have a 12 megapixels selfie camera on all models. While this is a small upgrade from the 10 megapixels camera on the S22 and S22 Plus, it's actually a jump downward on paper over the 40 megapixel shooter in the S22 Ultra. We've already talked about the camera and display, but what about the rest of the Galaxy S23 specs? Let's start with its SoC. Samsung Galaxy S phones are almost always the first globally available devices with the latest flagship silicon from Qualcomm. We don't expect 2023 to be any different in this regard. As such, you can expect all three Samsung Galaxy S23 phones to have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 inside. What's interesting about the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is that rumors suggest a faster, higher-locked version is in the works and might be exclusive to the Galaxy S23 series. It's also possible a higher-clocked version might only be for the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, but for now, we can't really say with any certainty. You might have noticed we didn't bring up Exynos processors right away. Historically, Samsung has used Exynos chips in several markets as an alternative to Qualcomm on its flagships, but a recently announced deal will see Galaxy S23 phones powered by Snapdragon chips globally. The announcement didn't outright say that all S23 phones would be powered by Snapdragon hardware, so it stands to reason that we could still see an Exynos variant launching in some capacity, just that Qualcomm will very much be the primary SoC in most regions. The only area where we expect noticeable improvements is the battery life. One of the biggest overall criticisms of the Galaxy S22 and Galaxy S22 Plus was battery life. Therefore, it would make a lot of sense for Samsung to increase the battery capacity of both models in 2023. Fortunately, Galaxy Club reports that the S23 Plus could receive a capacity bump to 4700 mAh. Additional rumors have further echoed this sentiment, while also clarifying that the S23 will also see a 200 mAh upgrade, bringing the Galaxy S23 battery life to 3900 mAh. We expect more to the battery life improvements than just a slightly bigger battery. The latest Snapdragon chip is supposedly very power efficient, And there's even rumors Samsung will bring its light mode to the S23 family. This feature has appeared on Samsung's latest foldables, toning down performance in favor of optimizing battery life and thermals. As for charging, well, a certification listing points to 25 watts charging for the base S23, in line with the standard S22. The aforementioned FCC listing also points to reverse wireless charging making a predictable return. Satellite connectivity seems to be the hottest new thing in mobile. Qualcomm has its own solution, and so does Bullet. We've even seen it from Apple. Therefore, it's not too surprising there's a rumor that Samsung is working on satellite communication functionality for the Galaxy S23 series that is set to support low-quality images and text. It sounds like Samsung may offer much more than just emergency satellite use, but there's no hard details on pricing or what to expect from this feature just yet. If you want the latest and greatest Qualcomm silicon, the Samsung Galaxy S23, S23 Plus, and S23 Ultra are great ways to get it. However, this year seems to be more about refinement than revolution. If you're already heart-set on the Galaxy S23, you can reserve it now. You can't buy the Samsung Galaxy S23 series yet, but you can reserve the Galaxy S23 now with no firm commitment. By reserving, you'll receive a $50 Samsung credit for one device or a $100 credit for two if you decide to go through with the purchase. If you change your mind, you'll be happy to know you can cancel without fully committing. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, then a sub to the channel will be massive, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you for the next time. Peace out.